Welcome back to the 2014 LCS playoffs, Game 5. We see here up at the Pine Box that those guys out there are watching this back and forth series just as glued to the television screen as the rest of us. And both of these teams, they've been trading blows, and it comes down to Game 5 to crown our champions. And the last time TSM went into a Game 5, they absolutely dominated their opponents in LMQ.
And a lot of that was Dyrus. That guy got so hyped. I had not seen that much emotion out of him in that game. As of that Game 5 against LMQ, is he going to do it again? Look at him. He is all smiles right now. He's having a great time up there. He had a great game on Rise. Deathless, nothing seems to be in his way right now.
And we can't count out Cloud9. They consistently perform, so you have to look at that. But I want to look at High, because High has performed phenomenally in both of his Zed games. But he's been a little lackluster on his other picks.
Right, so he's had a really polarizing performance so far. The 2 Zed games, he just hard carried his team. The other 2 games, he had awful scores, kept dying needlessly. And I'm not sure if his mentality is on right now, but I think what C9 needs to look to do is leave Syndra open and first pick it, because I think that's the only champion that he can play that won't be banned.
Yeah, and talking about polarizing performances there, just the face cams back and forth. Completely different worlds coming into this for both of these teams.
And we'll see how those worlds collide in Game 5. So we're going to send it right over to Riv and Jat to get us into this epic showdown.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm sure we'll get to talk to you one last time later, but now is Game 5 right here. Yeah. It all comes down to this last game. Cloud9 loses their first 2 playoff matches and possibly now gets dethroned from being the champions.
Yeah, it won't stop either of these teams from getting to Worlds, but boy, it'll be so important for TSM if they can dethrone Cloud9. And for the first time, Cloud9 is actually being challenged. And yeah, like those guys were just talking about, it starts off with the first pick from Cloud9. What is going to be banned out? Do they burn that first pick on High? Because they're not going to be able to get a counter matchup off. And it's really just been a tale of 2 games or a tale of 4 games for High. It's really well or just awful.
Right.
And if he starts going in that wrong direction, there may be no coming back for Cloud9.
Well, that's the thing. Do they kind of give High something and still knock him down on it? Because it seems like they can still get inside his head despite what champion he has. But that could really happen to anybody, the kind of day you're having, if it's good or bad. So far, it's been completely back and forth between these 2 teams, as it should be at the top of the list here in the NALCS. The bans look exactly the same. Zed will be taken out. And now Cloud9 says, what do we prioritize? Rise would be the safety.
Zillion is a pick that Team Solomon hasn't banned out this time.
Yeah.
And we haven't yet seen Cloud9 use it in this series, obviously. But the Maokai is a higher priority for them here.
Indeed.
Meaning if TSM want it, they can pick up the Zillion right here.
Do they decide to take the Chrono Chaos? Put it in the eyes of Cloud9 during each fight.
I don't know
So
if
many
TSM
picks.
expected this as a first pick. But now they have to make the pivot and still plan their picks. I think for Cloud9, this probably signals a Yasuo for High as far as the champions he does play because of its synergy with the Maokai. I'm also a little bit surprised that Amazing is actually stealing the Elise from Meteos here. I mean, Meteos sure has stolen it away from Amazing a few times, but Kha'Zix, Braum, Maokai, if you're a Curse fan, is a very familiar combination because that's what LMQ used in pretty much all of their victories during their comeback series. And Cloud9 could very easily play that. The Braum would stop the Nami shields, the Kha'Zix is the next natural jungler for them, and Cloud9 can basically put together an LMQ team comp. Now, TSM beat LMQ, so maybe that's not what they want.
That's true.
But it does present itself right here.
Slow picks coming to the other side. Meteos not getting possible. At least he thought he would be grabbing. Slower from each team. Game 5 has a lot to be desired from each team. One last talk from the coaches now coming into play, which we've even seen kind of go to the wayside. I don't know if it will in these games, but we've heard the coaches say, I don't know why they picked that. I don't know if they're going to be treading those waters.
So much can change just based on the bans, and you can have priority lists in different scenarios.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's got to come down to the players and what they feel like playing. This is what we expected, though, from Cloud9 with these 2 picks, Kha'Zix and Braum.
LemonNation, no stranger to the Braum once again. Meteos is going to be trying to go crazy. Something that they've had before. Will they be able to create the pressure they want, though?
I do not know. There's so much initiation on Cloud9 right now. But for TSM, the fear they have to run into is not having enough initiation.
Right.
From the looks of it, they're going with something somewhat similar to last game, just no Rise. If they go Trist, Lulu here, it's probably that Ori or Xerath in the last pick. And it's a team comp they've kind of ran before, which they were defeated with, versus a lot of initiation from Cloud9. But if they do pick a Xerath or an Ori, there's a lot of AoE damage, and Cloud9's team is apt to group up into pretty tight corridors.
Right. Getting that dive system in with the dive buddies, and it is going to be dive buddies all across the board here. Sneaky even having the option too. The Corki comes out for him. This, I believe, will be his first play on that against Curse. He went Trist, Cog, so bringing out the Corki here in Game 5.
I like the Corki in this context. It sprinkles in enough magic damage to make it inefficient for TSM to stack nothing but armor. It's a very necessary AD carry in this context. Plus, it gives him that extra little bit of mobility, which he did not have against the Xerath last match.
Right. They were definitely able to cut him down quite quickly. So Bjergsen does revert back to the Xerath. People have been saying they haven't seen him play it too much, but I'm sure he's got a lot of other different accounts. He's been putting it on, and wait, switches it up here. Shields on the team. They're going to play some protection.
You can tell this is under some pretty intense discussion because Bjergsen has yet to have a poor game in the playoffs with Xerath. However, he is the strategic mind of the team within the game, and he knows right now they don't have enough playmaking if they don't have Orianna. There's so much initiation potential from Cloud9. Unless TSM can actually force their own fights, they wouldn't have been able to win this game. So he has to go with Orianna, even if his Xerath has been more successful.
More for sure. Crowd control. TSM loves also having that Elise. They used to run it with the Thresh when they had Glebe for that catch. It's going to be great AoE. Nice pickups here from Team Solo Mid and Cloud9. A lot of top-tier picks in the hands of the players right now going for the #1 spot in the NALCS. Cloud9 versus Team Solo Mid, Game 5. We're locked in Champion Select.
Yeah, it all comes down to this for the champions of North America. Whether this is a fantastic game for High or another blunder here. 1-9-7 in one game. I think he was 0-7 in the previous one on Ori. This time, Yasuo is one of his more comfortable champions, and it's within a composition that has a lot of built-in synergy for Yasuo.
Right.
Maokai Yasuo is a very, very common combo.
Both teams have playmaking and initiation. I'm ready for this game, and I'm sure the fans are as well, here and at home. It all comes down to this. Everything is on the line, so let us know one more time who you think is going to win as we go into Game 5. Tweet that hashtag C9win or hashtag TSM win to us at LOL Esports, and we'll be updating that live throughout the game. I'm sure the players will feel that the Twitter world aura as well. They know you're voting.
It seems like TSM has a little bit of an edge in the Twitter vote every time we seem to throw it up. And it's crazy. Thinking back to TSM, a lot of the fans throughout the regular season weren't even sure if TSM was going to Worlds. Cloud9, even though they struggled, everyone kind of in the back of their head thought they're going to make it, and it was no doubt for them. But this TSM team, if they're able to win North America, would be quite the run, because they were meandering around the 4th or 5th place of the standings throughout most of the regular season. But now they've finally come together. The Lustboy acquisition worked great. Loco Doco's had longer times to really instill onto the team, and now one game away from winning North America.
The best of 5 series now in that 5th game. It has brought much awesomeness, you could say, to the league stage here in the North American LCS. Definitely a good move. The players and teams have loved it. We're going to get a quick back out on this one to make sure everything is correct, that it was not a certain rune load or whatnot. We're going to get a chat with Dyrus here as the team's completely silent.
You got to make sure the Game 5 maintains its competitive integrity here. So pause on Dyrus. We will get to know what that is.
Yep.
Red team paused the anti-hype, actually, right now.
So Dyrus he did double check, but the runes did not change out of the client into the game. We're going to go ahead and see if that is true. Probably get that switched up if everything works out the way it should. Seeing what the builds are probably won't be any different on the starting buys.
And as well, the teams can't see each other's items as of yet. No one knows what was started with because the pause was so early. So a pause like this is before what is known as a game of record. It's one of the things in the rulebook. Game of record is basically the first time someone sees someone on the other team. And that has not happened. So this game doesn't exist yet. The picks of bans have finished, but reloading the game is as simple as just remaking.
All right, looks like Lustboy has actually dodged out. Amazing as well. Haven't seen any of the members from Cloud9 just yet. So we may just be getting them in or the whole entire team, and we'll just go ahead. Yeah, balls just clicked out. So we're going to have a bit of a vamp time here. This is definitely going to kind of play on the teams. They're ready and raring to go. Obviously, they weren't in the game, like we said, no recorded game, so it's not like they had motion to do something. But a little more thinking time, maybe a little false start, but it's all right.
The game will be remade. Exact same picks and bans, because as we said, game of record does not require a restart. The game hasn't happened yet. I'm just going to make sure I hop myself into the game as well as soon as they make the lobby. They'll be flying through the picks and bans. We won't have those up on the screen. Man, it has to happen right before Game 5, too. I was so ready to just start talking about the level 1s.
Everybody's so ready. Oh, thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
But is everybody still ready?
Yeah, I think they're ready.
All right. I like it.
Several thousand fanfare packs. We got hundreds of thousands of people watching on stream.
Yep.
Heavily viewed finals right now.
That's just the bathroom break. Everybody's
Labor Day
running,
weekend.
getting drinks, getting the candies, concession stand, hit it now. Go quick.
Very quickly, because this game could happen any moment. When's the game coming up, man?
I
may have missed it.
I'm looking for it.
Let's see.
I don't know if you missed it.
Yeah, well, whatever.
No, you didn't. It's up. Bam.
Thank you.
Aha. All right, so back into game. Everything's going to be the same all the way down. We'll get the same picks and bans. None of that will change, so the teams can still kind of think about what they want to do with the beginning of this. I guess just as much as they could last time.
Right. They've already planned what their level 1 was because they were just about to do it. There's no reason to change it up because nothing was seen by either side. And it's kind of going to be the same story. Whether or not High succeeds on Yasuo is a big move here. The Orianna pick from Bjergsen is pretty bold. It puts a lot of emphasis on what he does. They haven't picked very much initiation on the TSM side. And with that first pick, Maokai from Balls, we had the TSM team actually talking about this during their quarterfinals against Dignitas, is just because we've used a first pick on you doesn't mean you have to do amazingly, right? So Balls on Maokai, even though he is commanding that first pick, isn't the fulcrum with which the team revolves around. I still feel like it's basically revolving around High and whether or not he can pull stuff off with Yasuo. And there's always Sneaky in the back who's just old and reliable. His Corki will be something to watch here.
I like that, old and reliable. It is, though. Ever since the Arcane shift forward, it seemed to be cleaned up since then. And that's the thing with Cloud9 as well. If things do go wrong, they're not one to harp on each other. And at this point, I'm sure teams have really just cleaned up that kind of thought process anyways. Team Solo Mid coming in very strong. Their way of doing it was, we need to kind of switch up what was happening with the team, where our direction was going, and our focus. Lustboy was that focus, it seems, towards the end of the season, and they've gotten what they wanted out of it.
It's a completely evolving landscape. You can see the Team Solo Mid team has made their adjustments to get them back into this finals.
Right.
It's not as simple as just having 5 guys and being like, if we play together long enough, it'll work out. Sometimes change just has to happen. Luckily for Cloud9, they found an amazing combination a year and a half ago when they formed this team. And we were mentioning earlier, they're pretty much the most experienced core group of 5 people in esports worldwide.
And they didn't start off amazing when they created that team. You remember the first time High talks about playing with Meteos, and Meteos was like, I had to teach High a few things about what the jungler does, and it's not always just for mid lane. And High was like, oh, okay, I realize that now. So it started to become a huge camaraderie between those two, and we see a lot of the First Bloods will have those two involved in it.
Yeah, and as well, the infrastructure of the teams. I mean, Jack is a fantastic owner for Cloud9. He provides those guys with exactly what they need. They're leaving tomorrow for Korea. Everything is set. They have practice situations. Their flights are booked. They packed for that. Like, they're very organized from an organizational standpoint.
I feel like...
And TSM's a similar way. That's one of the reasons these teams reflect so much success.
Absolutely. We got to remember... Cloud9, Jack told me once, he's like, I feed these guys and they play amazingly. It's like, I promised them something after, like crap pot or something. So once they get to Korea, they're going to have all the food that they want and they're going to be wreaking havoc possibly. But who's going to be doing it in first place, chat? We're about to find out right now. We're going back onto the Rift. We are into Game 5, Cloud9 versus Team Solo Mid, and this is about to happen.
All right, no pause this time. We're good to go. Ward start for Amazing right now. That's the same thing that Meteos started with during his Elise game. Remember, last game was kind of thrown out the window as far as game plans are concerned when High was first blooded. You do not often see those first bloods. We've seen a fair amount of them actually during the playoffs, though.
Are we going to get 2 huge team fights at level 1 again? Because I love that. We actually will have that go in one team's favor so much, but it came out slightly even until, like you said, TSM was pretty much able to turn things around in that mid game. So not as much craziness coming out this time. The not want to lose is definitely coming into play here. So the gameplay should be slow. Rings to Doran's, blades on both sides. And looks like top lane's going to be matching up equally with a little bit more on the support side of Dyrus as he's chomping down some cookies. So good movement by Cloud9. Both teams getting privy knowledge of what's going to be going on towards the boss. Everything they need, everything quite simple.
Yeah, there's always that question of whether Cloud9 decides to switch up the lanes for this one. They've had success laning Braum with Maokai, just withstanding the harass. It always looks a little scary, but they've managed to do it in both of these games. And Sneaky has turned himself into quite a solo lane threat. Done it with Trist and Kog'Maw. This time he's going to try his hands at Corki. And that looks like the setup that Cloud9 is going for. Now the question will be, when the teams have been on this side of the map, their rotations and their jungle patterns have been nearly identical every single time. It's been Meteos starting blue buff going to red, and then looping all the way up top to go for Dyrus. If one team, it's a big mind game here because they know what happened in the other games. They've figured out what they've done. Does one team try to counter, or do they just completely switch it up because it's a game 5?
Not much in the room of countering right now, but it would be the first stone thrown here. It looks like they're going to be doing Wolves Wraith, so easy start for this. I would be surprised if Meteos were to go for that top lane. It'll be kind of hard to get the kill onto Dyrus, especially with the Sneaky on Corki. So it'll be interesting to see. That early ward again from Amazing. And we are off and running. Both junglers towards the bottom side now. We finally get the 2v2 matchup chat here. Lustboy trying to gain brush control, LemonNation as well, getting right in his face.
Yeah, they used...
Well, that's 2v2, but yeah,
they used the Targon right there, or the Relic Shield, to push the wave a little bit early. I actually wonder if TSM's going to try and freeze a little bit, because there's a chance they could deny some experience now that Balls and Lemon have decided to push.
Back and forth, you see High using the Steel Tempest to get that cleared as much as Bjergsen is trying to push it into the turret. Nice block by LemonNation. Just a very nice back and forth. So much harass going down with the farm in these lanes. It's the small advantages are trying to be gained.
Yeah, Cloud9 just doing the sapling shove right now. But at the same time, if they take a little bit more harass, they will not be able to stay in lane. Dangerous game they're playing down there.
Sneaky trying to deny Dyrus. A little bit of experience here. He's not going to lose pretty much anything off of that, but little games.
And check this out from TSM. They were so prepared for that Meteos roam. Instead of trying to counter it, they just gave Dyrus the absolute best vision. Both of the jungle exits that Meteos could have taken to make it to the top lane have been well warded by TSM.
When Dyrus has been able to live in the top lane, he is able to put up numbers for the team. So to get him going, really good in the playoffs. He seemed to turn a switch here coming in this weekend. Bjergsen with the clockwork wind-up passive. Good tongue twister there. As he starts hitting down onto High. And here we have the first movement from Amazing. He's going to be hatching that ward, though. So knowledge of him is going to allow Meteos a little free play here. What does he decide to do with it?
Focusing on this High and Bjergsen lane once again. Something that High has, more so than a lot of mid laners, is an incredibly short memory as far as forgetting mistakes. Even if he's died 10 times in a previous game, he'll turn around and have a fantastic game afterwards. I guess it's a selectively short memory. He remembers the good plays and always forgets the bad ones.
See what he did
in order to perform and not go on tilt.
Absolutely. That's a huge thing to have as well. Not worrying about what happened in the past. Let it go and move on to that next game. Especially putting himself on a different champion now. He's got to have a clear mind. 5 minutes into this one, nobody has a big lead. But we're seeing that textbook push here on that melee lane on the bottom side. Turtle getting close, but he does not get any extra damage under the turret.
And there's no summoner heal for these guys, so it's just the exhaust that would be on LemonNation if they decide to fall in here.
That's really passive, you're right.
I wonder if this is the time or the game where the lane breaks. Balls has already used his teleport to make it back here. He's just so good at being passive under this turret with the Braum shield to prevent all ins. They are losing out the battle CS here, though, because you can see Maokai at 23 CS, but this time Dyrus is farming very well against Sneaky. So he's basically matching his farm. Meanwhile, WildTurtle would be a good 22 ahead of Balls. This lane setup, while it has been successful for Cloud9 in 2 games prior, isn't nearly as successful this match.
You can see how much consideration Dyrus put into that tri-bush. 3 steps back, trying to taunt somebody out of it. He's like, I think it's finally clear. And of course it is. Meteos is here taking Wraiths right now. No real windows for either of the junglers to get in just yet. And where that ward was placed by Amazing, and Meteos cleared it out, he actually placed the pink ward. Not really seen them placed there before. Right next to the mid turret.
Yeah. You can see they're on high alert,
yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Trying to account for any type of sneaky move each other would make. That's what this game 5 is all about. Momentum plays such a heavy part.
The first kill must
game 5.
feel so different than any other
Nice
game.
though, they're going for such an early dragon, knowing that the AD carry was top and they would have a teleport advantage with an ultimate. This is the perfect timing. It's something they didn't do in either of their first 2 games.
And they have the shield.
Check it. They're going to try for a steal, but that is a really dangerous steal.
Lustboy has the number on this juggling. He's been doing it so well. That's not going to be the steal. In and out, actually, for Meteos, which is not going to help for early initiations on him. And TSM comes out clean there.
Yeah, it means Cloud9 can't trade anything else for it either, because they actually did make the move to go down. It's just there's no objective to actually warrant that move anymore. Really nice play there. TSM is beating Cloud9 to the punch.
Yep. Hardly taking any damage on it as well. Allows them to go back quickly without being stopped in their backs and just come back to lane. Sneaky trying to deny everything he can as we have him switched back around. Maokai's going to go back to the top now. 33 to 55 there. See if Dyrus tries to take initiative on Balls. 6 as well to level 5 here in the bottom lane as LemonNation knows Sneaky's going to be safe to go forward.
Yeah, and while we have a moment, the jungler's taking their second set of buffs. I really just want to say, I think it's a really good thing for the North American region that they're challenging each other at this level. Last year, Cloud9 went in very lackadaisically to the finals. Whew. Of course, I thought I had a minute when Sneaky gets aggressive. He has the level advantage on Turtle right now, which is one of the big reasons those missiles are cutting in down. But yeah, Cloud9 was never challenged in North America last year, which made them a little bit lazy coming into Worlds. With the struggle they've had in the regular season and the battle that TSM has given them in these finals, win or lose, it's just going to create completely different mindsets for both of these guys going in. Cloud9 because they know they can be challenged, and TSM because they know even if North America may not be the strongest region, they can be right at the top of it.
Absolutely. It's kind of hard to work on things when you're always winning. That's what Cloud9 kind of walked into that with, and they said, well, it's not going to work here. Everything's been changed up since for a lot of teams. And right now, this is what they need to bring to Worlds. 72% in that vote. Swaying quite hard in favor of Team Solo Mid with 1,000 gold lead and still pressuring the level up. Still not 6 on the side of TSM. 7s and 5s coming in from Sneaky and LemonNation as they harass but freeze nicely in that bottom lane.
Yeah, still the early game going slightly to TSM. The lane swap that Cloud9 pulled off was heavily punished by TSM this game. Sneaky got a 1 level advantage, but it cost them so many objectives. And that ward being taken out by Amazing, that was to protect against a sideways gank there. That's one of Elise's favorite jungle paths. However, he just goes forward and takes it out.
Dyrus not being able to do too much. Ball's keeping himself safe there, but they still keep the deficit. Dyrus has a good lead. Bjergsen with his levels again. On the ball move, Hyde did the same thing last time to just keep that CS coming as well as dodging these skill shots. Looks like he will be denying high CS as well. Not too bad though, 98 to 95 in that lane as Cloud9 just goes with pressure and numbers here. They're not worried about it. They want to start taking things. It's going to be bottom turret first.
They're going to end up trading these turrets though. Dyrus had some free time in that top lane. He takes his down as well. So that is a trade of the level advantages basically. I also liked how Cloud9 funneled that gold into Sneaky. The turret has a certain amount of local gold that it gives away to anyone who's near, and everyone else ran away, so Sneaky got the full 150 local gold from that turret, instead of it being split amongst his partners.
Still keeping with the Triforce build. has the same kind of mechanics he can work with here, coming in on that movement speed he's going to be getting, keeping himself safe, but also in a dangerous position. Something WildTurtle's been getting himself into quite a bit, but coming out on top these games. A quadra kill previously on his Trist, something TSM's looking to get out of him again this game. Ball's now getting the minion wave in his favor, but it's not even going to give Dyrus any trouble. The themes for him already, and the mid lane for Bjergsen as well. Good spikes before 11 minutes in.
Absolutely. With the Dragon being up in 2 minutes, I don't think Balls can make it to his Rod of Ages. He's a good chunk of gold behind. The static Shiv being on high is rather important. He's farmed very well against Orianna, actually. Also, as far as combat effectiveness, Meteos finishing his Elder Lizard, amazing with Sightstone. But is that lack of vision going to cost Balls his life?
Twisted advance just for movement. Nothing's really going to help him. He has a flash for over the wall towards the white here if he wants to try and do it, but he's going to go for the forward flash. Oh, Meteos thought he had it, but he used the Q. Or Amazing, rather, sorry. Takes down the kill.
Yeah, at least he made Amazing use his flash, but he was unable to escape that one. Nice kill there by Amazing. Also going to delay Balls' Rod of Ages even farther.
Meteos making some moves, trying to get the sweeper at least to get a little return on investment there, but they find no wards. LemonNation's going to alert them of this rotation. Mid turret could be going down quite soon here, but they're clearing for the Dragon. So Dragon mid, definitely a possibility here, as C9 is going to be setting up for this as well. Teleports up on both sides.
Heavy, heavy pink ward control by TSM around this Dragon. And very lackluster vision from Cloud9. You can see them throwing that over the wall Dragon ward. Lemon just not able to get control here. No pink ward investments currently on the map for Cloud9. And they're also going to have to match with the teleport, which is tricky with Maokai. While Maokai's a nice guy to be able to teleport in, he kind of needs to be there at the start in order for him to have an effective team fight, because he's the guy who initiates. Having your initiator come in late means you lose all control.
Dyrus and the rest of the team looking to get back on that. Such a spread out initiation Cloud9 would have on this. They're kind of pinching from each side. Ball's coming down from the top now, and this one's going to definitely tell us how this game will be played out for the next 5-10 minutes. Still the mid lanes fighting each other as they're going back and forth here in the river.
Not much damage landed by Cloud9. You can tell how tense this game is right now. These guys really just waiting for the right skill shot to land.
Glacial Fisher actually separating the fight. Dyrus finds himself alone here as he comes in from the top lane. Still teleport there if he needs to go back and come to the Dragon, but Cloud9 could have it by then. No, over the wall. Dyrus saves himself. High's not going to be able to dash to him anymore, so he gets himself out. But that is big. Whoa, 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 whoa. Dyrus trying to back way too early. Meteos uses the last bit of mana. Somehow Dyrus squeaks out alive once again, and I don't think we're going to get a Dragon out of this at all.
Here's the thing, though. Cloud9 burned so much right there. Dyrus still with his teleport could always come back in if Cloud9 decides to start this Dragon. It's very dangerous for Cloud9 to be starting this Dragon right here.
They pinch it in. A ward is already sitting inside Dragon Pit or outside. Two safe spots for Dyrus to teleport to on this one. He will
already in the back.
One in the shockwave on the side of Bjergsen. They lock down high. That's 30 seconds on the clock. Dyrus is already back as we saw, and they're going to start fighting it.
Big missiles from Sneaky, though. This Dragon hits back pretty hard, and Cloud9 does not want to let this one go, despite High being dead.
Sneaky with quite a bit of mana to start throwing out those bombs. Big ones coming up as well, but he cannot get the area of effect he needs. Great trade back.
Are you kidding me?
Gets the Dragon as they watch TSM prep it.
Times the smite with his Void Spikes. He's now 1 out of 2 on Dragon Steals. That one, though, keeping Cloud9 in the game.
Very nicely done. TSM knows they have to pressure back a little bit, Jat, so it's going to be a Dragon, but we see both teams giving each other much respect as they meet face-to-face here in the 5th game.
Yeah, and I mean, this is indicative of the way the team comps are built from TSM's perspective. Their ability to find initiations is not that great, so when they have an advantage, they have to be very careful about the way they proceed. That time they did get the kill down onto High because of a nice shockwave from Bjergsen, but until WildTurtle's much more farmed, they won't be able to turn those into really big fight wins. Whereas if Cloud9 actually pulls ahead by a few thousand gold, it's much easier for them to force and end the game, putting TSM in a slightly precarious position.
Sneaky as well with the Triforce built, so when they get up to the turrets, they're going to be falling down fast as well. Dyrus doing what he can with Glitter, It's a little slower, but you're still able to take down turrets.
Yeah. Luckily for TSM, they actually have the lead right now. So Cloud9 running away with it isn't a concern right now. As well, if we think hyper late game, the Tristana is unmatched as far as AD carries are concerned, and Sneaky will have to just do this damage from afar.
Yep, WildTurtle's not afraid to put himself in any carry position either. He'll jump right into the fight as we've seen before and shoot people backwards for the initiation of the good. 24.2 to 22.4, 3-1 is TSM still coming up on turrets in the majority of these games. Then applying the map vision, which is a little bit less than they have been. But they're getting in what they need. Nice try there.
That is a really good point
there,
about Cloud9 not having turret control. I mean, TSM has pushed more so than Cloud9 in almost all of these games. I can't remember one where Cloud9's been up in turrets early. TSM definitely having the early games very well planned out.
A little back and forth. He should have at least golems to get to if it really gets dangerous. But he's already got Dyrus for safety. No rotation up from anybody here, so it looks like Cloud9's just trying to grab another outer turret and actually get themselves some of that gold back.
High activating split push right now. There's not much TSM can use to level him out. That's some mean poke.
Oh, is Meteos making the move? He is going to be close enough. Throws down the ulti. Dyrus wild growths him before he can get off the initial attack. They still get the assist on him from the slow. And whoa indeed, even with the wild growth addition of health, he went down quick.
I mean, take what you will about this start from Cloud9, where they're ending up losing some early game turrets, but Sneaky having level 11 at that point was one of the main reasons they were able to force that kill. Level 2 in his rockets, much more damage than Dyrus was able to respect with the blue buff. Very, very well earned, and now they even out the game.
Yeah, it's very evened out with that. Dyrus going down along with the turret, giving Sneaky what he wants. He's going to be able to capitalize a lot more with that cash money. We see not Moby Boots coming in for LemonNation this time. He's going to be going for the Merc Treads himself. And we actually see the Scepter coming out for Sneaky so he can start sustaining. It looks like Cloud9 wants to get themselves in a little more of an aggressive position here with some of the buys are going out. Radovage is already stacking up for balls. Good things on their side for core items. But like we said, Athenes and whatnot have already been finished for quite a while on TSM's side. They haven't been utilized too much.
Yeah, the death cap will be the next item spike for the TSM team. Maybe the Zhonya's as well, if Bjergsen and Dyrus decide to go the more defensive route in fear of Yasuo. But even so, it's still a very, very tense game here. A lot of it is just understanding the power spikes of when they can get items together. Right now, Sneaky is the powerful one. That won't change for quite a while, actually.
Hey. It was a good cocoon, I'll give you guys that.
And now it's actually a nice split push. You can see the void spikes keeping TSM at bay while High gets some free time at this turret. Meteos though decides to let him through.
This is where Cloud9 starts to feel really comfortable. If they know they can start spreading them thin, they might get their pinch initiations in. Oh, whoa.
They caught him.
Sneaky getting caught. Not even enough time to Valkyrie. Fast fingers coming in from TSM.
And they're collapsing onto High right here.
Collapsing indeed. WildTurtle's going to get hit off. That's not enough damage to kill him right away. The exhaust comes out. They knock him back. The flash goes over the wall, and that just means Dyrus gets a kill for himself.
Oh, we know what happens when Dyrus gets going in a TSM game right now. 2-1-2 on that Lulu, picking up a couple nice kills off the back end of other teams' initiations.
And High giving his head a scratch there. The call's not working out the way they wanted. The crowd now behind TSM. Cloud9 fans hoping for that comeback to happen. It's not anywhere out of their means to win this game yet. 29.9 to 28, but that was a nice pull by TSM.
All of it started with Bjergsen just making a play onto Sneaky. It's very rare that we see Sneaky get caught out of position.
Let's see it again.
But just the tail end of that shockwave, Valking out of a shockwave is actually not that easy to do because it can still pull you back in mid-Valk. And here, High was jumped on. He already had been slowed, so he tried to ultimate to turn around and also give him a more proficient shield. Ends up burning his flash, but that just walks him right into some glitter.
TSM collapsing well, getting what they want out of Cloud9's aggression for the split push, and they're going to have to start thinking twice about that. LemonNation and the team trying to get the wards in that they can, but now stricken to pretty much their own side of the jungle here.
Small difference in the teams here. There is no tidal wave for Lustboy. But against Braum, you generally don't have Tidal Wave anyway. Cloud9 very aggressive starting this Dragon because they have pink ward control. They're hoping the TSM over-respects the Cloud9 poke, which is actually happening right now.
Easily taken by Cloud9. Very nicely done, keeping their head in the games, knowing that they need to continue getting for themselves to not lose any bit of ground. The game is still tied in gold.
And this could be a really nice rotation, though, by TSM. Cloud9 is a little bit behind in this rush. The minion wave, though, is kind of contributing to this. I wonder who's going to push faster, actually. Trist pushes very fast. This is a bit of a race.
I don't know, Jat. They do have a few more caster minions coming up. That's one turret down. It was already warmed up coming in from high on the last rush, and it's going to be somewhat of a race for these inhibitor turrets.
What is the plan here? Both teams are sending back a couple of defenders and seeing if they can hold up. The saplings are only doing so much for balls. He's trying to take out these turrets, but that turret is going down fast.
Dyrus almost going down. High is going to be in there taking turret shots. One more comes out. He gets the heal from Sneaky. Almost gets the range. One more Q coming out from Amazing, and he does grab it. Double kill. And this
TSM has no extra defenders right now. This is basically a base race. TSM dope, but that inhibitor could be going down. Nobody is on their way back to base right now for TSM.
Sneaky's doing what he can all by himself. He's got the siege minion to help him through right here. They have the rapid fire help. Steroid coming in from WildTurtle, and that's a back and forth. Does Sneaky stay? He's out of mana, and it could be very dangerous. The teleport is trying to keep them in with a home guard falls on the other side of the map.
It's an inhibitor trade, but Cloud9 has found some friends.
Falls with the home guard. Teleport goes in on the WildTurtle. They try to eat him alive, and LemonNation's going to land the Winter's Bite. One more shield attack, and he gets him down. Now onto Lustboy. No, Corki is not in the base still, but Cloud9 is stopping TSM from getting the backs they want.
What a trade. Inhibitor for inhibitor, and Cloud9 runs down a few kills because of superior two-man pushing in the top lane. Now they try and push mid because they have the man advantage.
Conflicting chants from the crowd here in Game 5 with 5 kills for both teams. Coincidence? I think not.
And also Cloud9 getting to push up the mid lane right here is so advantageous. They are eliminating the super minions before they can become a threat. They get the turret.
Whoa, whoa, amazing. Going very hard here. They think they have the backup coming in from Bjergsen. He can still get the repel for safety, and that definitely gives Cloud9 something else to think about. Looking at a lot of down summoners here. Sneaky without any mana, but it's just for the pressure. They're going to keep it on to make sure they don't have an easy back.
Just unable to land the Glitter Lance is down the stretch. So, power spike wise as well. After all that happened, yes, Cloud9 gained a lot of edges right there. They took down multiple turrets, and suddenly they're 2,000 gold in the lead. However, double death cap for TSM right now. That's a very strong point of power. High is actually delaying his Blade of the Ruin King for an Infinity Edge right now. So he needs to hit his Infinity Edge or his Blade of the Ruin King before he can actually access that power spike. As far as the second major item being completed, there are more of those on TSM than there are on Cloud9 right now. So teamfights would still be very close.
So what's the way that TSM uses this now? If they know TSM or Cloud9 is going to try more split pushing, more high in a different lane when these teleports aren't up, what do they do?
It's the tricky thing because they have pretty much the worst inhibitor to be dead is dead. The one that is the farthest from Baron. It basically means TSM needs a full-time defender. Dyrus doesn't actually have his teleport here. And the more we think about this, Cloud9 actually has some potential to force Baron. Infinity Edge was just completed as well for Cloud9 High.
Wow. So those pieces came to him quite quick, and the damage that he requires. Now the initiation potential is up that much more by Cloud9. They're going to start clearing the wards, and they're going to start creating the pressure. It's exactly what they want to do. 5 turrets across the board, down for each side, a 2,000 gold lead for Cloud9. But the items favor TSM here. Who is going to be the taker of this fight? Because something else in the inhibitor style is going to fall. That's very close for being an initiation.
Cloud9 has lit up this side of the map with wards. They definitely want to start forcing around Baron. They don't have a pink ward right now for inside the pit, which is kind of stopping this from happening. But they do have a window here where Dyrus cannot join. So they know they have forced 5v4s. They need to take some type of advantage out of this.
They now have no wards around Baron. This has to be a different time for them. You may see a 2-man group try to get some wards. Right now it's just going to be Amazing, and he will not be seen by High. So no problems going to be had there. The vision in mid keeps them safe. Cloud9 getting what they need, or rather TSM getting what they need as Cloud9 begins their push again. Top lane seems like it's going to be the focus here. A minute 30 on Dragon. They got all the time in the world to play up top.
This is one of those times where you wish you actually bought multiple pink wards. It's something that certain supports do, as they will keep a stock of them in there, because this siege, they don't have time for someone to go back to base while Dyrus is off in the lane. But because they don't have that second pink ward, their Baron control is really lackluster, and it's making them miss out on this golden opportunity where Dyrus was trapped on the other side of the map.
Well, it looks like everybody together. These teleports being down, not making people feel comfortable. Dyrus pulls to the mid lane. Bottom is easily pushed up to the river, so no worry from that. And Baron is really going to have to be the focus here. Sneaky in the team. Start to pressure down mid. As high is on the roam, and TSM have no vision of any of that. They can go a 2 or 3 man here if they get Maokai up there.
Yeah, so all those wards will provide some vision superiority in Baron, but that's actually not what Cloud9 is probably going to be forcing next. They want either a team fight with High or the split push because of his Infinity Edge into the exposed inhibitor.
See if they can find it. 26 minutes into the game. Very, very early into it, and we're getting a lot of action from these two teams. Respect with the poke. Bjergsen still on the front line looking for a nice shockwave. WildTurtle will not hesitate to jump in. Do they really want Braum here? That
oh, they're a little bit cut off.
To sweep in, they hit perpendicular to TSM's grouping, and it looks like they're on Amazing. That's going to be big to go down. Can he get a repel up if he's not already used it? He is going to be safe on the backside. A nice tidal wave to disengage a huge amount of damage onto Lustboy, and that is what is coming out of WildTurtle right now.
This is not TSM's base that they have their back to, though. This is Cloud9's base. They're going to be hitting that inhibitor and forcing Cloud9 in.
Yeah, actually had me confused because the shots are coming this way. Wrong way, guys. Cloud9 need to enter back into your base. TSM's being pushed towards the Nexus, and it looks like Cloud9 is even afraid to get into this one. They have to choke to get in the middle. They have to get in range for that shockwave.
The cooldown discipline of these teams is remarkable. Still no Yasuo ult, still no shockwave until now.
The shockwave! Balls goes in, twisted advance, throws down the Maokai Maelstrom, and it looks like they're going to mitigate enough damage to tear this fight apart in the start. It's going to be WildTurtle now in the eyes. 4 down for Team Solo Mid. Dyrus is forced to run for the brush, and Cloud9 heads for Baron.
And that is going to be Baron right there. While TSM made the move to get the inhibitor, they missed the shockwave. That absolutely critical spell that Bjergsen picked Orianna for to create a fight was whipped, and Cloud9 absolutely punished them for it.
It happens both ways, Jad. We saw High do a few of them last game, and it is detrimental to the plays happening. Baron's going to go down now. Cloud9 picks up a huge lead. The stats from Baron, and they're going to be able to run with this for a full, fresh 4 minutes. No contest here as well, so everybody's going to make it out nice and alive.
Even Maokai was able to pick up that Baron buff because he respawned. Take a look at this fight again. I mean, both teams were pretty low from that, but because the shockwave missed Sneaky, all bets are off. They get a nice ultimate off onto Bjergsen. He is not a part of the fight, and tries WildTurtle May. He just can't get through everyone on the Cloud9 team. Sneaky was enough of a force at this point in the game that he could just finish off. Cloud9, though, doesn't shop after the Baron, and TSM is very heady to go and get this next dragon.
Seeing what they can get. They know they just walked through a ward, so they're not going to be stopping there. 256 gold off of that dragon grabbed across the board. 2 of 4, but the Baron is not what's ticking around them. You're going to have to be very careful, but they do have bottom turrets to push.
TSM knows Cloud9 has to go back to base, so it's actually really smart of them to try and keep this pressure up. They want to get as much gold as possible while Cloud9 has this Baron buff to neutralize the game.
Only looking at one
really
hold guard right now on the side of Cloud9. And it looks like they're not going to have to really utilize those. TSM backs off after grabbing the turret. They don't want to be messing with full health Baron team Cloud9 right now. Only a 3,000 gold lead was grabbed out of that. Still the item, actually no, the item thresholds are starting to match up. 3 items on the favor of Cloud9 now with all that gold they've gotten.
Yeah, High is huge, and Sneaky has an itemization edge over WildTurtle right now.
Yeah.
WildTurtle just finishing his Bilgewater Cutlass, so he's so far away from a Last Whisper, actually. If Balls can get a little bit more gold, finish his Frozen Heart, it'll be a very difficult tank line for WildTurtle to cut through. He needed the lifesteal, however, because he's just taking so much auxiliary damage, and the threat of all the poke is just keeping him out of fights.
You see High going for that back line quite fast when he gets the chance. So good builds coming in from each side to mitigate. Just dying in general, it helps.
Yeah.
6-5 in turrets. Game number 5 is definitely delivering here from both Cloud9 and the side of TSM. Now another push up mid. This Baron buff has about 2 minutes left on Cloud9. Let's see how they utilize it.
The downed inhibitor also has a minute or 2 left, so Cloud9 has to keep a lot of attention in the mid lane, even if there's an exposed inhibitor on the other side. High has to go way back as well to clear that minion wave and actually put threat on multiple things. The game looks to stall out for a few minutes here.
High getting a nice push on the bottom. They can go back to the split push if they want to. Meteos' items too amazing as well. He's pretty far up, also putting in some more damage to that build. Yeah, nicely done. 30 minutes on the clock.
And the one bad sign here for TSM, even though this is still an incredibly close game, is most of it is being dictated by Cloud9. Even TSM getting the Cloud9 inhibitor was Cloud9 funneling them into a point with which they couldn't return. They took the inhibitor as a byproduct of that, but then still nearly got aced and ended up losing the Baron. Cloud9, with their greater initiation tools, are pushing TSM around the map.
Yeah, TSM having to walk to the beat of C9's drum here, and High is going to start on that bottom inhibitor as well, so TSM to be spread thin. This middle turret, not really what they're worried about right now. Cloud9 trying to get some vision over the wall. TSM still lacking a bit of wards on this side.
There were so many shields on WildTurtle there, Yasuo actually wouldn't have done anything. That's one of the great things about all the protection they can offer him right here. Although they still have Baron buff for a little while longer.
About a minute.
They're pressuring this inhibitor with their own inhibitor respawned.
Very nicely done. Get these super minion waves going, and they can really start to stop TSM from even wanting to engage back. Dyrus will have to be back at the minion waves, clearing them at the Nexus. That's what High's trying to get out of this inhibitor, but nobody can really follow. Nobody wants to get rocked by the shockwave.
Yeah, that last push looked really dangerous for Cloud9. Balls took a fair bit too much damage, but Dyrus has got a lot of damage dealt to him. They are going to recall, though. It doesn't seem like Cloud9 wants to continue this unless Balls is willing to teleport back in.
They're going to stay for the long haul on this.
This is interesting. They are doing this 4v5, actually.
He has a teleport ward just behind the team if they really require to get into it. Nothing's pushed towards the top lane, so they're not going to just be going around the horn on this one. They get this inhibitor. They're going to try to
Balls
go
is
strong
waiting
fight.
for a home guard teleport, it feels like.
There's
now
one.
he's teleporting, and he does have his home guard boots, but it's right on top.
Turtle!
Oh, wow!
Grabs Turtle, forces him out of the fight, but do they have damage on the inhibitor? Yes, Sneaky is focusing that. High gets one Steel Tempest off on the final one, and he is focusing it as well. Balls, he's getting the grievous wounds, but he will be all right from the burn of that explosive shot E. And it looks like they are able to disengage after the inhibitor. Exactly what they wanted. They were just waiting for the tree.
They got the inhibitor, but it wasn't easy. Balls was just finding his moment for that home guard teleport. And pushing WildTurtle gave them enough time to get that inhibitor down, but amongst all that, no shockwave was used. You can see how protective Bjergsen is over that. When he misses it, it basically means a lost fight, so he's holding it for the pressure of having it. Even so, another down inhibitor with 2 minutes on Baron will create another difficult situation for TSM to defend.
Well, missing one will definitely make you second guess about throwing another one out, and especially in the base, like you said, just too dangerous to not have that. So holding it, definitely a lot more pressure for the team. Just about a minute across the board for our objectives. Dragon and Baron about to come up, and TSM has the wards on that. The Cloud9 should be clearing quite soon. Tried and tested this best of 5 is for these teams here, and they're doing quite a great job to really rise to the occasion.
Yeah, this best of 5 has been going on for nearly 5 hours now, but it wouldn't seem like that.
Man, I'm ready after like a 45-minute game to be done.
At this point, 34 minutes in, it can't be much longer until we crown the North American champion.
Oh yeah.
This has been such a close series, pretty back and forth. This is the first game where High has had a neutral performance. 2, 3, and 4, so it's definitely the closest game we have had this set.
I can't imagine what the players are feeling right now as well. Everything kind of riding on their shoulders. Nobody wants to make that one mistake, but everybody wants to be able to make the play as well that will carry their team to victory. If you get the chance, not saying Lustboy is going to dive in with a tidal wave to initiate the fight. I'm sure he'd like to. That'd be a hell of a highlight.
Yeah, 5-man bubble the tidal wave. However, picking a Nami in this game, you almost can't even use your tidal wave because you're against a wind wall and a Braum shield.
Yeah.
It's almost sure to get canceled. It's actually more threat for him to not use the tidal wave because Braum is kind of trained to save his shield for a tidal wave.
Yep.
So if he just never use it, Braum may never use his shield, and it's a really good ability for Braum, yet your tidal wave is going to get canceled anyway.
Cloud9 grabbing up everything around the map. Not going to be hard to get that one. The gold, not really going to help because they're not getting back to buy just yet, but they want everything to deny from Team Solo Mid. It's going to help out. Sweepers across the board with the scrying orb going to Dyrus. So They have vision if they lose control over Baron. That's not going to be a problem, but just getting Baron away from Cloud9 is really the task here.
Yeah, and Dyrus just happily keeping that super minion wave at bay. He's getting a lot of free time farming, and Cloud9, for the second straight time, haven't forced anything while that inhibitor was down. They're missing out on these opportunities of winning the game.
Yeah.
They get one step done, but they're not able to capitalize on this next one. TSM playing very safe and sound, keeping waves cleared, not letting themselves get initiated on, using the move speed from Nami and Orianna, and really just keeping Cloud9 at bay. This is absolutely critical for TSM.
It's getting tougher though. Negatron Cloak's now going across the board, so those Void Staffs and whatnot that were cutting through Cloud9 and really thwarting their engagements may be a little less powerful. We'll have to see how they use this. High has not gone in on any fights with anyone anytime soon. They've been playing around TSM right now.
Yeah, so nothing done after getting that inhibitor down. For all the risk they took to get it, they actually lose out on it because Dyrus was farming that wave while Balls was missing out on minions. And it's now a near 100 CS advantage between top laners.
Might be why High grabbing up a Guardian Angels. If they're going to have that, maybe now they initiate what they want. Just be a safer objective.
Even so, though, at the same time that they're getting magic resistance to deal with this farmed AP casters, they are becoming more and more vulnerable to WildTurtle's Tristana. There's a good mix of damage on TSM right here, so the defensive itemization, while nice, isn't game-breaking.
Gotta remember that WildTurtle's gonna be getting big. We're only 36 minutes into this game. He still has quite a ways to go. 2 levels till 18, and then he'll be cracking out that long-range damage from Tristana. Good damage onto Balls. They get him in for some nice turret shots there, but the shields keep him safe. Locket of the Iron Solari actually used in fear of an engagement.
Yeah, having an underfarm Maokai is a little bit of a liability here. He's taking a whole bunch of damage. He would have needed to be the one off split pushing, much like Dyrus was, but it just hasn't been an opportunity. And the weaker and weaker Cloud9's tank line becomes, the lower their percentage chance of winning this game is.
TSM trying to dictate mid lane here. Cloud9 will walk parallel for a little bit, but how long can they do this? We saw Team Solo Mid kind of get inside Cloud9's base a little bit ago, and it seems like they may shove him out once again.
Well, this one is a little bit dangerous. They have the backline approach. Meteos hops in, actually.
That's the dodge. TSM has avoided quite a bit. Teleport from Balls coming in actually from the base. Home guards are not able to utilize this big engage. Dyrus just out of range on that. Home guard wears off. Not much damage from the shockwave, but the control TSM needs to reassess the fight. Balls gets hit up. The Glacial Fisher on the backside. They've bottlenecked into this fight and are going for broke. High goes in, tries to get his ultimate down. Last breath has already been used. Coming up with focus. Wow, Turtle! Angel. Turtle on the triple. Turtle on the quadra. Meteos on the outside. A second quadra in the playoffs for Turtle.
And even with the kills, even because the fight was so close to Cloud9's base, this could be the end of the series.
This could be it. Team Solo Mid looking to dethrone Cloud9 as the North American champions. They lay down the ward, so they have all the vision necessary. A 10-10, 40-minute game, 60,000 gold apiece on each side, and Meteos trying his damnedest to stop it.
And after all the tension, TSM finds the fight, and WildTurtle goes wild right there on that last fight, outplaying Cloud9 and carrying TSM to the championship.
That's the ace, that's the game. TSM goes the full 5 and takes down Cloud9 to be the 2014 North American champions.
They have finally done it. They have defeated Cloud9 in the playoffs. This is the #1 team in North America once again.
An incredible ride all playoff weekend. From every game to every team, and another best of 5 to end the finals, as it should be. Tried and tested were both of these teams throughout the entire game. 40-minute matches apiece, trading each other's champions back and forth in Champion Select to take each other down. But TSM comes out on top. The mental fortitude and prowess of the best of 5 series playing in their favor.
And just like in the semifinals against LMQ, the lower seed has to play red side in the 5th game if the first seed so chooses. And again, their only win of the series on red side comes in game 5.
Tons of smiles around TSM finally getting those scrim results to come out the way they want them to. And that's kind of been the mentality all along.
There's the trophy for first place in North America. Hoisted high.
Those two gentlemen definitely getting credit for this as well. Talking with the team, calming and prepping for each and next game. Bjergsen with great calls this game. And Dyrus definitely enjoying carrying his team in a few of these games. It's been a while since he was able to throw down the hammer, and he definitely did it here at the playoff week.
Such a difficult game 5 for them as well, having the more defensive of the two team compositions and then still being able to pull it out in the end. Their positioning in the fights, their ability to withstand the downed inhibitor in the bottom lane twice.
Yep.
You could see Cloud9 just wasn't able to finish that last game, and it ends up just by the slimmest of margins. TSM takes it.
We should be speaking with both teams in just a minute to figure out their ideas, you know, what's the prep now. Both teams still going to Worlds, but this meaning so much for TSM fans, for just NA LCS, to see how many teams really muddied the waters with awesome plays this year and just started taking out your favorite team. And then we saw Curse being one of the teams to have one of the best scores coming into playoffs against top teams.
And just thinking about how close everyone actually is here. Remember, TSM went all 5 games with LMQ. LMQ then went all 5 games to finish 3rd place above Curse. And the final, of course, goes all 5 games. And TSM, despite having a history of success, was a surprise victor. They were the underdogs in almost all of their matchups. The lower seed against LMQ, the lower seed against Cloud9.
When have we ever said that?
And then defying the odds, actually, to win this game 5, because it just seemed like those first picks and having high on a comfortable champion again and again was going to give Cloud9 those blue side victories. Even during that game, it looked like Cloud9 had pulled ahead, but it wasn't to be.
Everybody made their move on TSM this game. We had Turtle jumping in with some insect knockbacks on his Tristan on the buster shot, and I'm not going to name them all, but plays like that coming from everybody on the side of TSM. 2 quadra kills from the young Turtle coming out in this playoff series, and he has really cut back on his aggression, but was able to let loose within these playoff matches.
Yeah, we hadn't been able to mention it during the cast, but actually WildTurtle's dad was here too. That's what a time to perform. It's the first esports event he has ever been to, so congratulations there.
Awesome thing there. All right, we're going to right now send it down to Kobe, who's with our 2014 Summer Champions.
Thank you, Rivington. I am here with TSM after that exciting victory. Congratulations, guys. First of all, Bjergsen, the new shot caller for TSM, stepping up big, along with Amazing, in a fight that's so close like this, in a game 5, when it comes down to one team fight, meaning first spot at Worlds or second. How do you keep your cool? And how do you keep the individual performance separate from the shot calling?
I think just at the very last team fight, there is no like being calmed down. Everyone is just yelling who they want to kill, and that's pretty much how it is. Coach keeps telling me to be very calm about who we kill, but in this game it's crazy. But when you're learning to be a shot caller, you just eventually figure out the balance between shot calling and individual play, and that's what me and Amazing are both working towards.
Well, congratulations. Now, Dyrus, a question for you, since you've shown so much emotion in these best of 5s. Feeding off of the crowd, game after game. How much does it help to have support like this at almost every arena that you guys go and play in? And do you think that you guys will have the same support when you travel abroad to the group stages? Woo! Oh, you have one.
Well, first of all, I think our morale was boosted because our crowd was so amazing. And since we have so much room, this is humongous. Like, all of our fans can come and cheer us, and that bonus really pushed us over the limit and helped us as much as you guys possibly could. I mean, for example, the don't tilt, it's just scrims. Like, being nervous, being scared for our first game, like, it helps a lot, and it helps us get over it. And I thank you all for not only supporting League of Legends, but us as TSM. And when I first came on stage, I had a tear. And there's just so many of you guys showing such amazing support that I teared up even before our first game with LMQ. I just started tearing up. And it just means so much to me that we can give back to you the first spot of NA.
Thank you, Dyrus. I have one more question for Amazing, the other shot caller for TSM, about your guys' prep. Now that you are going to Worlds as the first seed for North America, a lot of the other teams have decided that they're going to go traveling and try and do some research on the other regions that you guys will be battling. What are the plans for TSM preparing?
We are also going to go to Korea and practice there, so we can face other teams like the Koreans, or the teams that are bootcamping there. But first of all, we got to celebrate this victory, in my opinion.
And Turtle, if you could hand the mic to Turtle here.
You want to hold this?
Don't drop it, don't drop it.
Hi. Turtle, how does it feel to win the last team fight of Game 5 with your father here in the crowd? And do you have anything to say?
It feels pretty great, and I don't know, I'm just really happy. I don't really have anything to say, but I just like winning. I think everyone loves winning.
We do like winning. Congratulations once again. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2014 Summer Split champions, TSM. And now, we're going to send it back to the guys at the desk.
Thank you. Kobe, thank you very much. A lot of emotions on that stage right now, and I cannot imagine. I mean, Dyrus, get me the choke up, man.
That was
Come on.
an emotional speech right there. I mean, you can just see how much TSM cares about this and how long they've been fighting for it. They've entered into the LCS. Yes, they won the Spring Split of 2013, but until then, they had to do so many roster changes, so much upheaval, so many ups and downs, and now they will be going into the World Championship stronger than ever.
And we actually do also get to chance. Freak is down on the floor with High. Or actually, we're not going to be doing that.
We're going to be able to go to that
Right.
shortly, but right now we're going to be going to the analyst desk for a few words.
Absolutely.
Competitive season we've had. There was no other way that this playoff could have ended, down to a photo finish. I mean, what an amazing 5-game series.
TSM, complete underdogs. I said it a couple days ago where I thought they were the weakest team that made it to the packs at the playoffs there in the top 4. Completely wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong about that. And it was utterly amazing to watch them perform that way. And the fact that how many times during the season did we say TSM is getting all of their wins off of the bottom teams? They completely showed that those regular season stats didn't matter, and I'm glad I ripped those things up because they're useless.
Well, it's been a week full of huge plays, but this week there was one player who stood above the rest, and is our playoff MVP from TSM. It's Bjergsen.
Bjergsen, he had a slump in the middle of the split when he was taking up the shot calling role, and we heard him talk about it, but he was back in peak form, and he carried his team through an incredibly tough semifinals and even tougher finals. And we can't overstate what a feat it is to finally dethrone Cloud9 and have TSM at the top of North America.
Pobelter, you've competed against Bjergsen in that mid lane. Talk to me about how much he deserves. Like, what are the aspects of Bjergsen that embody an MVP?
His laning is really solid. You know, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes that a lot of other players in LCS do. So that's one key thing about him. He doesn't make the same amount of mistakes. Like, if every other LCS player plays 99% perfect, then he's playing like 99.9% perfect.
I like it. Well, he definitely deserves that honors. Now, not only do we now have our final standings for the summer split, but we have a lock on the teams headed to the 2014 World Championships. From North America, we have Cloud9, TSM, and LMQ. Representing the European LCS, it's Alliance, Fnatic, and SK Gaming. From GPL, it's Taipei Assassins and AHQ. And taking the international wildcard spots are Turkey's Dark Passage and Brazil's Kaboom Esports. From Korea, it's Samsung Blue, Samsung White, and Najin White Shield. Finally, from China, where there are still 2 seats up for grabs, it's Edward Gaming. For more on the upcoming World Championships, make sure to tune in on Monday, September 8th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central European for the World's Reveal Show. You're not going to want to miss that. We'll be breaking down all the teams that will be taking to the international stage, as well as what groups they will be competing in. But if you can't wait till then, head over to LOL Esports and start reading up on all the players, study their stats, or review some of their games from this year. And if it's more league action you're craving, you won't have to wait long, because kicking off on September 9th, we'll be bringing you 3 days of matches as Counterlogic Gaming, Evil Geniuses, and Complexity from North America, and from Europe, Millennium, Gambit, and the Copenhagen Wolves battle it out with the squads from the Challenger Series for a spot in the LCS. There is still space available to join our studio audience for the taping in Los Angeles. Just click the tickets link and reserve your spot. That's just about going to do it for us, so a very special thank you to Pobelter for joining us on the analyst desk for yet another day and keeping us honest. But first, we want to take a moment to thank the teams for another great split of games.
It has been one of the most competitive and exciting seasons to watch, and it's a credit to players who show up every day and give it their all on the Rift.
And most of all, thank you to you, the viewers. It has been an incredible ride and an honor to share it with you every step of the way. Now for myself, Zyrene, Riv, Jat, Kobe, Freak, and the entire live broadcast crew, thanks for watching, and GG.
TSM! TSM! TSM!
Away from the semifinals. Team Solo Mid picks up the win. A clean sweep on Counterlogic Gaming after the boot camp in Korea. It's not going to be enough to stop first. Dignitas is not falling. Dignitas takes the best of 5 series against Counterlogic Gaming. Solidify a trip to the World Championship. Cloud9, you're going to 2014 World Championship. Everything on the line now. Oh, first blood! Going in first blood in Game 5. This is going to be LMQ. They make the comeback a reality.
The crowd is fired up for our first game of the Summer Playoff Championship between the reigning champs Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid.
Yes, whoa! Oh my God, High goes there to get the 4-man last breath himself.
It all comes down to this. Everything is on the line. These players are about to prove it.
He tries to throw down on Ziki, and the dodges come out. Bjergsen is just raining in damage. That's huge. This could be it. Turtle on the Quadra. TSM takes down Cloud9 to be the 2014 North American champions.